We're talking tiers today. Who's a contender and who is a pretender in the Eastern Conference? Jonathan Kuminga turns down another deal from the Golden State Warriors. Darryl Morey says the Lakers bubble championship needs an asterisk. And Locked On Thunder says our top 100 list needs 7 players from the title team. Is it fair or foul? I'll ask Matt and Hayes today on Locked On.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt.
I watched Back to the Future last night and for the first time noticed that the plutonium that he uses for fuel is under his bed in the opening sequence during the title sequence when Marty walks in the room. I've seen that movie 700 times. I never noticed the plutonium was under his bed.
That can't be safe. I don't know if Marty's going to live to, I don't know. He went to the future, but I don't know if he's going to live to 88. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, he's also a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report. It's Hayes. Hayes.
I love how my intros change every day this week. The Monday I was one of the writers for Chicago sports. Then I was a video content creator. Now I'm just a content creator. Doug got me covered. The best guy in the business.
I've been trying to really drill it down because I want to make sure it fully encapsulates everything that you do. So I landed on creator because I did not want to box you in. I thought when I said writer, I boxed you in because you do so much. Sure. I had to get a little bit wider scope for everything that Hayes does for this show and for Bleacher Report. All right, speaking of widening the scope, we're going to widen it out to the Eastern Conference and talk tiers today. I asked Matt and Hayes to put together their pyramid of conference greatness, and it did not take them very long to disagree on a team, and that team is the Orlando Magic, who Locked On Magic host Philip Rossman-Reich says are not hiding this season from title talk.
They have put themselves in a position where we are not merely talking about a championship or going to the finals as some far off thing, as some distant thing. Orlando's window is now. Magic are going to be a second apron team in 2027. You can only be in the second apron for so long. The next 3 years at minimum, if not maximum, the next 3 years are the window. The 2024 season was about making the playoffs and kind of announcing their arrival. The 2025 season was about supposedly proving that the Magic could compete with those championship level teams. This season is about putting all that together.
All right, so I'm going to put the full tiers list for the Eastern Conference in the show notes of today's episode. So if you want to see it all broken down from Matt and Hayes, you can check that out. I want to go to some of the big differences in your list. Hayes, you have the Magic firmly in your contender tier along with the Cavaliers and the Knicks. Matt has the Magic as sub-contenders. Hayes, what has you confident that this could be the year the Magic take the East?
Still the defense. And maybe that's just an old school thinking for me, but the Orlando Magic have a championship caliber defense. The question about it is, can they do enough offensively to balance that out? And when it's needed, can they hit enough shots? And this isn't just based off Desmond Bane. I think he is a huge acquisition for him. I think it was on yesterday's show. I talked about how the Magic made no contested threes last season, which is still a crazy number. I think Desmond Bane helps bring a lot of what they need. I also think Jace Richardson can carve out a role as a scorer off the bench for them. But I really think that this is the same way we talked about how Cade Cunningham took a leap last year. I think we're in for one of those from Paolo this year, and it's that. I think Paolo and Franz are going to be so good. I think they could be so good together. They just have to stay healthy. That's one of the reasons I think that they have a chance to take the East this year.
So for me, the concern is look, they got upgrades on offense, but this offense was bad. They started off great, like the first 3 games. Paolo gets hurt. They're bad. Then Franz gets hurt. Paolo comes back. They're bad. Franz and Paolo are back. Jalen Suggs is out. Bad. Like, look at these numbers. They're 19th at the rim. 19th in percentage at the rim. Usually, if you can't shoot from the outside, at least you have a bunch of bigs so you can score on the interior. They can't do that either. They're 22nd from the mid-range. And then they're 30th, dead last, 31.8% from three-point range. Even good shooters like KCP go to Orlando and their jump shot dies. That's greater than something that Desmond Bane can fix. Like, it has to be a offensive overhaul there. And they can do it. That's why they're sub-contenders. It can work. It can happen. But we need to have a little bit of reserve here about this is going to work. I'm with you on the defense. I know how elite it is. You got to have like a base level offense. You cannot have one of the worst offenses in the NBA and be a contender. You can't do it. You have to be able to put points on the board. Until I see that, I'm going to have a little bit of reservation about putting the Magic in the absolute contenders tier.
See, I think Hayes has the right idea. He believes in magic. He doesn't need to see it. You want to know all the magician tricks. You're the person that goes to YouTube and like finds out how they do everything, and you ruin the magic show, Matt.
Yes, I'm absolutely the person that looks. I look up spoilers for movies. I'm always looking for how these things get made. But that's kind of the thing is like I care on a very intrinsic level. Offensive process is a lot more than just the weapons that you have on the board. And I think that people get confused on that. You got to have a good offensive process. And as good as I think Jamal Mosley has been as a head coach, that's something that he's going to fix. And I mean, he's got to fix it this year or the seat's going to get hot.
Okay, so moving down the tiers here. So you have Cavs, Knicks, and Magic as contenders. Hayes, then could be contenders as Hawks, Pistons. Matt, you have Hawks, Magic, Pistons in your sort of sub-contenders list. And then, Matt, moving down, you have two categories here in your contenders list. Whatever the Sixers are, and that's, of course, the Philadelphia 76ers. And then below that, Dark Horse, and you list the Milwaukee Bucks. So Sixers technically above the Bucks in your tier list. Are you higher on a full-strength Sixers team than you are a full-strength Bucks team?
Yes, they don't. The Sixers don't employ Kyle Kuzma. Like, we just need some level of, like, the Bucks roster. Look at the Bucks and who they relied on in terms of re-signing. They made the Turner move, great. Their big re-signings were Kevin Porter Jr. Then they added Gary Harris. They've still got Kyle Kuzma. They lost Brooke Lopez. Like, in what way can you really look at this team and be like, yeah, this team is stacked with guys that I would trust in an Eastern Conference Finals Game 6? There's nobody. There's very few guys I think that you would trust in that environment outside of Giannis and Turner. And like maybe like if Ryan Rollins makes a jump this season. So I do not trust this Bucks team. I think that they have like this outside chance because Giannis is so singularly good. But ultimately, like, yeah, the Sixers are stacked. They just got to have their guys on the court, which I don't know if they will.
Hayes, you have both these teams in your pretenders list. Which one of them are more likely to jump out of the pretenders and into the could-be contenders tier by midseason?
I'd probably say the Sixers too, because I think that the Sixers, I like a lot of the Sixers roster. I think that they're a team that that could be good even if Joel Embiid isn't healthy this year. I don't know how good that have to be shown on the basketball court, but I think I love the step Maxey took. You get McCain back, having Edge come there is going to be really, really big for them. I like a Dembana, who I've talked a lot about too. Like I like a lot of the 76ers roster. I think Broom is a good pickup for them as a rookie that could probably contribute right away if they need one. So I like the 76ers roster. It's just so much uncertainty around how healthy they're going to be at any given time. They were so ravaged with injuries last year that, you know, it really derailed them. And I think that they could run into some similar stuff this year too.
Hayes, what's the number for if I tell you, hey, I tell you Joel Embiid plays this many games that you're like, all right, they're a contender? What's the number? I think it's 57 for me.
I'd say 60 just as a nice whole number, but I could see 57, 55, 57 being enough too.
We talked about Joel Embiid on the last episode, and one of the questions that we didn't have time for, let's see if I can remember exactly how I had it worded, but I wanted to know what would be actually just better for the Sixers long-term health of that roster if you get, 25% of Embiid at 100%, say towards the back half of the season, or if you got like 50 to 75% of Embiid for most of the season.
Yeah. Can I go in between and say like you need 40% at like 85? Because like here's the thing, there's this balance here. I think of you got to have not only the talent level that Embiid brings, you need continuity. You need to understand how everybody fits around him and how that team works. Because this happens where you have a big piece that comes in, all of a sudden it's clunky because the team has been functioning one way. They need to know how to play around Joel. And he's got to be healthy enough at a high enough level for them to know how to do that.
Hayes, final word.
Yeah, I mean, I would more so rather have a healthy Joel Embiid for 55 games than a partially healthy Joel Embiid for 70 games. Not to say that we haven't seen him put up big numbers when he's not fully healthy. I just think that that's best for the 76ers. I trust more if he's fully healthy for less games.
I say even give me 25% of the season of a fully healthy Joel Embiid, because you let some of these young players like try to figure this thing out without having to work around a maybe Joel Embiid, maybe not Joel Embiid situation, which Paul George, I think, really struggled with to start his career in Philadelphia. Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. Coming up, I have one more tier question. One of these gentlemen has a team in their tanker list and the other does not have that team. We'll reveal the team and talk about Jonathan Kuminga, the latest from Shams Charania on the Warriors' offer to keep Kuminga in Golden State, at least for now. And Jonathan Kuminga says no. It's kind of a big offer. I'll ask Matt and Hayes if it's fair or foul ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? I do. With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're saving up or planning something big, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch isn't just a budgeting app. It is a full financial command center. You can track your accounts, your investments, your spending, and even plan for those future goals, all in one clean, easy-to-use app. That means less time stressing about your money and more time making it work for you. And if you share finances with someone like I do, Monarch makes it so easy to stay on the same page without awkward spreadsheets or missed bills. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We're talking Eastern Conference tiers. And Hayes, you have the Pacers in your list of tankers. They joined the Brooklyn Nets, the Charlotte Hornets, and the Washington Wizards. But Matt, you have the Pacers in your just kind of their tier under the pretenders category. So Hayes, what makes you think that they're not just going to kind of hang around, but they're actually going to go into tank mode at some point during this season?
Well, that's the thing. I can see them hanging around for a little while. I think they can hang around for most of the season, but I think when things get towards the end of the season, if they're not firmly there looking like they're a team that's going to clearly make it out the play-in or avoid the play-in, they got that first-round pick back for a reason. They own their own first-round pick outright. I can completely see them prioritizing the draft position towards the end of that season rather than try to fight for a play-in spot, knowing that Tyrese Halliburton's not there and they're going to need to find a new big going forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Andrew Nembhard has a bad ankle, if Pascal Siakam has a hip injury and misses 2 months, then wrap it up, we're done. But this team's too good. Even without Miles Turner, with Miles Turner gone, without Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, Pascal Siakam, TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, like most of the rotation from the team that went to the finals is there. Not the most important part, which is Halliburton, and not maybe the third or fourth most important part, which is Miles Turner, but the rest of it's there. They don't have a center. That definitely concerns me. They're putting a lot on Isaiah Jackson here, but they're too good. Rick Carlisle, coach. The other thing is, if we get into a play-in environment and it's like the Indiana Pacers versus, no offense, the Chicago Bulls with Josh Giddey and Kobe White, if this is the Indiana Pacers versus the Toronto Raptors, the Pacers are getting out. So I think the Pacers are going to be in the playoffs, even as a low seed.
Yeah, strong draft class next season.
A friendly wager, Matt?
Oh, a friendly wager?
Friendly wager?
Yeah, we can do something. Let's come up with terms off air, and we'll put it on the tomorrow show.
All right, I'll make a note. But it is a strong draft class, this upcoming draft class, and then the one after that is not really viewed as strong. So that could be a pull for some of these teams that are right there on the edge towards the trade deadline. We'll have to see. All right, we spent enough time in the Eastern Conference. Let's shift west. Here's the latest from Shams on the restricted free agency of Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga. Quote, Golden State made renewed push to retain Jonathan Kuminga, but the restricted free agent continues to decline a 2-year, $45 million offer due to the Warriors' insistence on a team option and waiving a built-in no-trade clause, sources tell ESPN. Let's get a reaction from the crew over at Locked On Warriors.
Kuminga believes that he's a better player, financially speaking, than what the Warriors believe. And I think this is the hang up in all of this. The other issue that Kuminga is running into is that Sam Amick of The Athletic was reporting on the Kings side of things, who are a team that are interested in Kuminga, that they're not willing to go above $20 million per year, which he's obviously seeking. So it's not just the Warriors that are telling him that he's not a $25 or $30 million player. It's the market right now. You know, if Kuminga is interested in signing a contract, it's a completely fair deal to lean into because it would get him out from under the Warriors relatively soon. It would make him tradable, and it would get him to a contract at age 25. So to me, right now where things stand as we approach the end of July, that's the most reasonable deal out there for Jonathan Kuminga. 2 years for $40 million. And I think he would be wise to take it unless he has the gumption to play under that qualifying offer.
All right, 2 years, $45 million, 2 years, $40 million. Either way, Matt, is Kuminga getting a fair or foul deal from the Warriors? And if it is fair, should he just go ahead and take it and move on?
Yeah, that 40 million number, by the way, comes from Mark Stein, and then ESPN went to 45 million. So that's probably one of those fudgeable numbers. So I think it's interesting that the wording from ESPN is that the problem is not the number; it's the insistence on the team option and waiving the no trade. So it's like you want to give him a 1-year deal at 23 million, where he could get shipped to any of the NBA's barren landscape where he will be forgotten. Now I'm kind of like, Jonathan, that's where you're going to get the money. Like, yeah, that's where you should want to go, is somewhere like that. Instead of trying to make it your way to a contender or a premier destination where there's going to be more pressure. The other thing here, I think, is the problem is nobody has the money. Like, usually in restricted free agency, it's like somebody's like, well, we got the cap space. Screw it. Let's throw it out there. Nobody's got the money. Nobody has the money. No one has the money available to give him a better offer. It's why it's got to be sign and trade, which the Warriors have to sign off on. There's talk now of him signing the qualifying offer and then going into 2026, because from Kuminga's mind, it's like, it's not that I'm not valuable. It's just that there's no money. And next summer, there's lots of money. So someone will be smart enough to give me a big money multi-year deal. And I understand that kind of concept. He's got to decide what's important to him. And if it's like, I would tell him, honestly, at this point, though, I think Kuminga should be pushing to get out of Golden State no matter what. There's no way for him to increase his value year over year as long as he's in this system with Kerr and Curry. There's no way for him to be the guy that he wants to be to get paid. He's got to go somewhere else. So I think he's doing the right thing here. I think it's fair for him to turn down this deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to stay in Golden, if I'm Kuminga and it's like, all right, what would it take for you to stay in Golden State? I want my $30 million. If I want to stay here and have to deal with not being out the rotation, my role fluctuating in and out, the least I can do is get paid what I want to get paid. I'd be willing to take a little bit less to go to a different team. And to have more opportunity to increase my future earnings. So I think that's there. I just think that the teams right now, what they're offering is not really enticing in the sign and trade. But the Golden State Warriors also have to realize you don't typically get back a lot in sign and trade. Like I know you like to think like they are trades, but typically you don't get a lot back in the sign and trade. So the Golden State Warriors can only get so much back. I think this ends in Kuminga taking the qualifying offer, betting on himself 1 year, getting back in there, which is not necessarily the best option either. But I just don't know if teams are going to be willing to offer, as it stands right now, as much as what Kuminga wants. If this restricted free agency happened next year, where more teams had money, and there's going to be a couple of teams that are set after striking out on their top two options that are just sitting there with a lot of money, I don't think we go through this a lot in restricted free agency next year. But this is the season that your restricted free agency came up.
I think this all ends with Jonathan Kuminga running for National Basketball Players Association president. I will never let this happen again to another me. All right, let's keep playing fair or foul. In an Athletic article by Joe Varden looking back on the bubble playoffs of 2020, Sixers general manager, then Rockets general manager Darryl Morey says this, quote, Had the Rockets won the title, I absolutely would have celebrated it as legitimate, knowing the immense effort and resilience required. Yet, everyone I speak to around the league privately agrees that it doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship. Perhaps the lasting legacy of the NBA bubble is that the NBA should be proud of its leadership at both the beginning and end of the pandemic, even though the champion will forever be marked by an asterisk. Hayes, fair or foul, Darryl Morey's assessment of the Lakers bubble championship?
Fair. And I don't agree with Darryl Morey a lot, but I love what the quote that he said here. I do think that the NBA should be commended for what they were able to pull together to still have an NBA Finals, still have a playoffs, because it was in doubt and in question. You know, I don't think anybody would have blamed the NBA if they just said, hey, it's a lost season. We'll see y'all again next year after you have a little bit more parameters on how we're going to deal with this pandemic. They went to the drawing board. They came up with something that, yes, was imperfect and is always going to have its asterisk next to it, but you did the best that you could. I think they made the best they could out of the situation. So I actually agree with Darryl Morey here.
Oh, I'll go further on this being fair. Anthony Davis shot 48% on jump shots inside of the bubble. He has never cracked 40% in his career. All the players talked about how if you actually talk to them in detail afterwards, they would say like the depth perception was a little bit different because the absence of fans. A lot of players who are not good shooters shot better inside the bubble. They needed that shooting in order for them to be able to get there. They needed Anthony Davis to get through a full season healthy. He got a 3-month break in the middle of the season. That Lakers championship came under those conditions. Now, they did it. It stands. It happened. You don't get to, like, no one gets to control it. The Lakers didn't sign up for a global pandemic to play inside of the bubble in Orlando. But you look at the rest of the teams in that Western Conference. You look at how everything kind of went about. You look at how the Celtics melted down versus the Heat, all of these kind of dynamics, all of it is a little bit like, I don't know. I won't put an asterisk on it because I don't think that's fair. Once you start putting asterisk on championships, you're going to start doing it up and down the line all throughout NBA history. No asterisk for me, but I think it's fair for Morey to say so. The Lakers championship was an exceptional one because of the circumstances it was won under.
What makes me curious is the divide between, like, if you go and read that article, I'll link it in the show notes. If you go and read the article, the reporters that talk about that championship almost to a person vehemently defend the championship and say, no, it was actually tougher to win that championship. And yet Darryl Morey, if he is to be believed, the front office executives agree that that it was different. And Matt, you're saying that players probably think it's different as well. I'm curious about why that divide exists between reporters and the people that are actually involved in the day-to-day. Any ideas?
So I think some of this is one. I mean, the Lakers won the championship, and most media is going to be like, no, it's valid. The other thing here, I think, is there was a mental aspect of it, and the Clippers have talked about this, right? The Clippers have talked about this a lot, where they're like, if we weren't in the bubble, we beat that Nuggets team, right? And like, I cover the Nuggets. The Nuggets are like, yeah, but you didn't. Right. It took the resiliency. It tested you from a mental standpoint, I think, in a very, very different way. Like, that to me is kind of how this gets to. I think that certain teams were tested more mentally than they would have been outside of it, and that impacted things. But I also think that the basketball side of it was easier. I think basketball was easier in the bubble. I think everything else was much more difficult. And that to me is the best way to kind of put the parameters on this.
All right, coming up, one more round of fair and foul. We're actually going to go back to the Locked On Warriors podcast. I found something they talked about really interesting. They did some money talk, and obviously, because they're talking a lot about money with Jonathan Kuminga, but is it affecting how much the players care? And then by that, how much we should care as fans. So we'll get into that. Plus, the Oklahoma City Thunder, should they get more than 5? No, not more than 5. 6. No, 7 players on the Locked On's list of the top 100 players for the 2025-26 season. I'll ask Matt and Hayes that ahead on Locked On NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. I want to go back out to the Locked On Warriors podcast for one more round of fair or foul. And something I found really interesting from that podcast, a lot of money talk on that show recently with the Kuminga deal lingering. That migrated into some discussion about the amount of money players are making now in general and how that could be affecting the overall care level. Take a listen to this.
What I do think that's changed since you and I were pups, so to speak, Chuck, is that there is so much money combined with, let's take Jokic, who I think is a perfect example. he doesn't seem to care as much as we do. And I think that the internet has heightened our awareness of that. It's heightened our awareness to he's crying over a horse as opposed to winning an NBA championship when he's kind of just in the corner, maybe popping a bottle, maybe being done. SGA and the Oklahoma City Thunder had one of the most anticlimactic bottle popping championship winning scenes that I've ever seen. We're now aware to the fact that these players, combined with the amount of money they make, do not care as much as we do. And I think that irks a lot of people and kind of wanes our interest as a collective, because why should I be as invested in a team or a player who makes $250 million more than anybody ever has before, some monstrous number, and they care less than it appears like they ever have?
Does the NBA have a climax problem? Do they have a care problem? Matt, what do you think?
There are various websites I've been told a lot about. Some of them have sponsored the show. If they've got a climax problem, they can seek out. I think I think this is foul. I think this is very foul. Look, don't compare other people to Nikola Jokic. He's his own weirdo. Like, he's just not the same kind of guy. And he loves Serbia, and he doesn't necessarily, I've said this for a long time, I think Jokic loves basketball, doesn't like the NBA. And that's the difference here. But he was thrilled to win a championship. Don't get caught off guard by that and how happy he was. Like, I was there. Okay. The Thunder are too young to know better. The Thunder are just like, we should win. We won. All right. This is easy. And there will come that point where they're like, man, I didn't realize how hard that was when we did it the first time because of how it went down. It's just not going to be the same kind. I still think that players are competing for greatness. I don't think you can look at Giannis Antetokounmpo and be like, yeah, that guy doesn't care. I don't think you can look at a lot of these guys and think that they don't care. I think the money has reached an absurd level. I think it is absolutely ridiculous. Hayes, the first year of LeBron James's rookie extension was $13 million. That's it.
Wow.
That's how much he made in 2008 was $13 million. And that's the difference now. And it has reached the point where I think the money is so great. The players are deciding things based off of other things. But I also don't agree that these players don't care about winning a championship. Just because they didn't do it the way that you wanted doesn't mean that it's any sort of different. I don't have any sort of iconic image of Steph Curry in my head either, because it was too easy for Steph early on too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard to try to say how much a player cares, and I think they all care. I think everybody's out there. They're not out there just for craps and giggles. So I think you can't say that a player doesn't care about winning a title or competing for a title or competing at the highest level. It's an honor. I think when you talk to these guys and when you sit down and hear how much they do talk about the competitive aspect when they open up, since it's so many podcasts now, it's hard not to say that players don't care. So I agree with Matt there.
Doug, what are the two championship most like celebrations that we remember the most? It's got to be
MJ
anything
crying.
is possible.
Well, yeah, and
Anything-
MJ crying over the.
I'm last 25 years.
Oh, okay.
Anything is possible. Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, this is for you, LeBron James.
Yeah.
That's Garnett, who had never won a championship in his entire career, was older, like 33, 34. And then LeBron, who had to get past a 2016 best team of all time 3-1 comeback for Cleveland's first championship. Like, not every championship is celebrated the same kind of way.
It's true. I have a couple of things after listening to Hayes. I don't know why craps and giggles doesn't have the same ring to it that the thing that you were avoiding saying. I don't know why you were avoiding saying it. It's maybe craps and cackles. Maybe we just come up with
Craps
something.
and cackles. Okay, I like that.
That's number one. Number two, I think it's hilarious to critique the Oklahoma City Thunder for their celebration when they celebrated all year, and people critique them for the towels over the head and how they just spread it out. They didn't wait to celebrate that exact moment. They just spread it out. I don't understand. You know what's funny to me about that clip? I think they identified the problem. They just didn't identify that they identified the problem. It is the hyper awareness of the internet that I think is a bigger culprit for them not celebrating as intensely, because everyone is so afraid of looking cringe. We talked about this a little bit on Locked On Hornets with something recently that Brandon Miller had to say, where the response was so muted, and it's just like everybody's so afraid of saying the wrong thing or ending up on the internet that I think that's a bigger deal than the money. But
I agree. everybody's thinking about like, what's the clip gonna look like after I win the championship that's played over and over again? How do I want to be remembered? Don't do that. Just be authentic. Be you.
All right, finally, our Locked On NBA local hosts are still filling out their ballots for Locked On's official NBA Top 100 for the 25-26 season. Locked On Thunder discussed how many players from the title team they think deserve to be on the list, and they think not 1, not 2, not 4, not 6, but they advocate for 7. SGA, J-Dub, Chet, Hartenstein, Caruso, Dort, and Cason Wallace. Listen to this.
Cason Wallace is the big one, the number 7 player on the list. Can he crack the top 100 list?
He better, or we need to question some of the other contingencies and contingents and other people voting on this if they don't have Cason Wallace as a top 100 player. I think that'd be ridiculous for him not to be on there. I haven't done the exercise, but when you're just talking about top 100 guys and different lists I've seen in the past, if I see, I know this is one of your guys, if I see Jalen Green in the top 100 over Cason Wallace, I'm going to lose my mind. We need to factor in winning and actual, like, talent that contributes to winning basketball games and not just highlight stuff. And Cason Wallace is a tier 1 guy in terms of that value for me.
All right, Hayes, should the Thunder have 7 players on the top 100 list?
No, I can't get to 7. I can't get to 7. I could probably get to 3 or 4. I personally don't think I can get to 7. No, not 7.
Yep. I've got 7 in. I've got 7 in.
You got 7?
I've got all 7 in. I've got Cason Wallace 93rd. That's where I'm at. Now, Jalen Green 65th. Settle down a little bit, Locked On Thunder. Your bit player does not get to go over a guy who was like the 3rd option on a team that would finish 2nd in the West. Like, I am captain. No, I'm lieutenant of the hater Jalen Green club behind David Ramil. And even I am like, let's put some respect on Jalen Green's name. But like, look, Cason Wallace started for the best team in the league by far that won the title. He's elite. He's a great shooter. He's a great finisher. He's an elite defender. Cason Wallace has to be on the list. All of these guys are such high level contributors. But I will say this, like a year after, a lot of the guys on the Nuggets list slid after they won the title. I think we're probably looking at a lot of the guys on the Boston Celtics list, and we're like, I don't know if they're quite as good a year after. So like a year from now, and I'll tell you the guy, here's the best, most interesting question, Hayes. What's the guy from the Thunder who's not going to be on the top 100 list next year? And I'll tell you, I think it's going to be Alex Caruso.
Wow, you see a slide from Alex Caruso?
Yeah, I do. I don't actually think he was that good last year.
Okay.
20 minutes per game player. Yawn.
Alex Caruso, and part of that too is protecting him from himself, because I think over that he's probably going to get hurt. So I guess I can understand where you're coming from there.
I'm curious now your cutoff. So obviously SGA, J-Dub, Chet. I mean, that's their big 3. They make it. You said the cutoff is 4, right, Hayes? So which of is it Ihart? Is it Caruso, Dort? Who makes it as your 4th Thunder player?
Dort
over Caruso.
Dort, yeah.
You don't have Caruso top 100? Come on now.
No, he's top 100, but I'm just saying Dort's over Caruso.
Oh, so okay. So now you've extended it to 5. I think we can get
Shea, Jalen, Chet. Okay, so yeah, 5.
Right.
5. There you go, 5.
Not Ihart or Cason. That's where
not
you go.
not Ihart or Cason.
I think you're going to get several calls from Rylan Stiles. He's going to just really campaign.
That's fine. He has my number. It's okay.
How many times did you put Doncic on the list? Be honest. Did you have him 3 times on the list?
6. He's on the list 6 times. 6 different weights he's going to play at next season. That's what.
Whoa! Wow. All right. He went there, folks. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube. That list will be coming out very soon. We'll have plenty to talk about then. Thanks to Matt and Hayes for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Until next time, be kind to each other, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA.